Say, bro, man, you see the little young white dude that just got off the Grey Goose? Oh, man, he's in for a rude awakening, bro. Yeah, bro, I couldn't agree more. You know what I mean? I've been watching him last few days. He don't really rock with nobody. He don't really come out of cell when he does. He don't appear to know nobody on the yard. They definitely gonna get him. And he got money. He's got it. All the booty bandits is fighting over to get little youngster, little Zach, in they cell. Lo and behold, they sent him in the cell with Frank B. One of the biggest bandits on the yard. They send this little dude in the cell with Frank B, man. It's not gonna end well. Come on, man. You can see that play coming from a mile. You know what I mean? Frank B sent a couple of his goons with a knife, you know what I'm saying, to run up on little youngster or whatever. So now little youngster feels as though he's in debt to Frank B. Penitentiary, man. Hey, bro, Frank B just got the brakes beat off of him in the gym. I think it had something to do with his silly Zach. I don't know exactly what's going on, but I tell you what, Zach ain't never got to worry about Frank B ever again. He may not ever even walk again. You heard me? Yo, once again, it's on. Back at you one more again. Real Kens TV in the house like kitchen sinks. You know, oftentimes, you know, I'm consistently reflecting. And I think about parents. I think about the milestones that our kids reach that make us really, really proud parents. You know, proud moments such as graduating high school, graduating college. These are things that, you know, every parent should be proud of. Well, imagine that moment, that day, that particular time quickly turns to a nightmare. Quickly becomes the worst day of not only your child's life, your life. Now, before I go any further, I am the self-proclaimed Mr. 30 Minutes or Better, meaning that every time I drop a video or story, it's guaranteed to be at least 30 minutes or better. So if you're on your way to work, you're at work, you don't feel like being there, your boss is getting on your nerves, your neighbors is talking too damn much, you're on your way from work, you need to cry sometimes, you need to laugh sometimes, or perhaps you're just in the mood to listen to a good old-fashioned true, keyword true, penitentiary story. If that's the case, I'm the channel for you. So with that being said, there is a message. You have an individual, this was years ago, maybe, I don't know, 15, 16 years ago. Who's really counting? You have an individual that graduates college. It's a proud moment. It's a happy moment. The young man's name is Zach. This particular time, Zach is 22 years old. He comes from a prominent, I'd say, middle-class family. They're not rich, but they're not far from poor. Zach's never been in trouble a day in his life. He doesn't drink, doesn't smoke. He doesn't do any of those things. Never caused his parents any sort of trouble, heartache. He's just a well-rounded, good kid. Now, I'm sure that a lot of you all can relate to me on this because I'm sure that a lot of your kids are well-rounded, good kids just as well. Zach graduates. He decides to go out, you know, a couple of his friends, well, several of his friends in his class. They want to go out and party, have a good time. Well, Zach's not exactly a stranger to partying. He just partied responsibly. He was always the designated driver. He was never the one that, you know, would drink. Never was interested. This particular situation, celebration, I guess the peer pressure, I don't know exactly what it was. But for some reason, Zach decided, you know what? I'm going to have me a drink. Zach has a drink. He likes it. He ends up having another drink. Okay, feeling pretty good. But he stops. See, in his mind, he felt as though he was being responsible. Because, after all, he did have to end up driving home at the end of the night. Now, had he known that he was going to drink, I'm quite sure that he would have couldn't have taken an Uber, because I don't even think they had Uber back then, and if they did, it wasn't here in Kentucky. So maybe he would have arranged to get to the party some other way of taking a taxi, whatever the case may be. Zach ended up driving. After a couple drinks, he parties for a while. He stays, just having fun, celebrating life. Some of these individuals, you know how it is. Well, for you all that have graduated college, you may not ever see these individuals again, because once you graduate, kind of everybody goes their separate ways. I'm speaking as though I know, like I graduated college. I went to college, but I didn't graduate college. But I kind of know how it goes. A couple hours later, Zach hadn't touched a drink whatsoever. Feels pretty good, doesn't feel drunk. Zach drives a couple of his buddies home. And on the way home, a motorcycle pulls out in front of Zach. Zach was unable to avoid the motorcycle, hits him. When he hits him, the guy was, obviously thrown from the motorcycle. He wasn't wearing a helmet. He sustained a significant head injury, and he didn't make it. The gentleman ended up passing away. When the police came, they did their investigations as far as, looking into the matter, see who's at fault, witnesses that were around. And Zach was given a breathalyzer. Officers asked Zach, hey, have you had anything to drink? Zach didn't know he was green. Well, officer, I had a drink maybe about 3-4 hours ago. It was my graduation. I graduated today. And I had a drink, several hours ago. But outside of that, no, I haven't had anything. They give him a breathalyzer. He fails the breathalyzer. The breathalyzer is 0.08 or higher. I think Zach ended up blowing like a 0.09. He was just barely above the limit, but nevertheless, he was above the legal limit. Y'all rock with me, man. It's hot. Off to jail Zach goes. He has to call his parents 3 o'clock in the morning. Parents, anybody for that matter, when your phone rings at 3 o'clock in the morning, unless you a bachelor, you at the house, or you waiting on some action. I'm a bachelor. It could be a good thing when your phone rings at 3 o'clock in the morning. But if you at home with your family and with your wife, your husband, you responsible and you're not in that lifestyle, it's typically not a good thing when your phone rings at 3 o'clock in the morning. So he calls his parents. He has to let them know, Mom, Dad, I've been arrested. I'm at the detention center. My bond is $3,000, $5,000. I don't know. I got in an accident and the motorcycle, he pulled out in front of me. The mother's very, very witty. She's very, very smart. Son, stop. Don't say nothing else. Don't say anything else. We're on our way. We're coming to get you. Just don't say nothing. So they ended up coming to get him, bonding him out or what have you. Now, I don't think they were able to come that morning, because by the time he got processed and everything, they had to wait for the bank to, open, because most people don't just have $3,000, $5,000, whatever his bond was, handy. So they had to wait for the bank to open and, handle that sort of situation or whatever. Well, the entire time, Zach just sitting in processing. He was never booked. He was booked, but he was never taken up to an actual cell. Parents came and got him. He's explaining to him that the motorcycle pulled out in front of him. Son, what was you doing drinking and driving? Mom, Dad, I had a couple drinks and then I didn't drink for the next couple hours. I didn't even know. I felt perfectly fine. So he's explaining, all these things to his parents. Well, they go ahead and hire him an attorney. Now, at this time, the gentleman that he hit on the motorcycle, he hadn't passed away yet. He was in the hospital. Later on, the gentleman passes away, as I mentioned. And so the charges were upgraded from a DUI to murder. Yes, murder. Commonwealth of Kentucky, murder. Once that happens, they come in, they rearrest Zach. His parents have to post a significant bond now because it's a murder charge. He gets out on bond. He has an ankle monitor on. And it's very, very difficult to get a bond reduction in Kentucky. For a case like that, rather. So let's just say your bond's $100,000. There's no bail bondsman. There's no 10%. You can get 10%, but your lawyer has to, Your Honor, my client, he's a pillar in the community. He just graduated college. We understand that this is a horrific accusation, if you will. But there are some key elements in the case that, I'm particularly concerned with. I can't get into the particulars of this case. Mr. Zach, he has a steady job, steady home, has people around him, family support system. His pretrial points are rather high. Your pretrial points is what everything I just mentioned, they give you points for. So you got a job, 3 points. You got a stable home, 3 points. And the higher your points, the better chance that you get of having your bond reduced. So, Your Honor, we'd asked, that you'd reduced Mr. Zach's bond. You don't have to worry about him. He's not a flight risk or anything of that nature. See, a lawyer, that's what a lawyer can do for you. That's what a true attorney can come in and do for you and be your mouthpiece. See, one of them legal aids, those public defender attorneys, man, they not going to say nothing. But a real attorney, man, he going to spit like a Uzi. Yeah, Your Honor, and then blah, 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 blah. That's what they do in court. So as I mentioned, he gets his bond reduced. He's on the home monitoring system that they have or what have you. And for 2.5 years, he fights this case. His attorney's fighting tooth and nail to get him off. The prosecution's not having it. The prosecution is standing on what they standing on. This young man committed murder. His attorney, Zach's attorney, saying no. First of all, it wasn't even Zach's fault. The guy on the motorcycle, rest his soul, he pulled out. He was at fault. So how could my client be guilty of committing murder? They go back and forth. They don't want to take a plea deal. Prosecution's offering them like 7 years. 7 years? A felony? I'm a college graduate. So you want me to go from being a college graduate to being a convicted felon? I won't be able to vote. I won't be able to carry a weapon to protect myself. I won't be able to get life insurance, not while you're on parole or probation. I won't be able to get an apartment or anything in my name. A good job. You want me to plead guilty for something that I was irresponsible for drinking. I understand that, but it was not my fault. He pulled out in front of me. Well, guess what? You're going to have to explain it to the jury, young man. That's what Zach does. He explains it to the jury. The jury comes back. They deliberate for several different hours or several hours. And they come back not guilty. There's a kicker, though. Not guilty for murder. Guilty for manslaughter and DUI. They end up giving Zach 10 years. They give him a 10-year sentence. He's devastated. Parents is devastated. Everybody in the courtroom that's in support of Zach is devastated. Now, the young man's family, they're happy. Because not only do they feel as though justice has been served, they're about to file a heck of a lawsuit against Zach. I don't know exactly how that works because Zach is a part of the family that has money, but Zach doesn't specifically have money himself. So I don't know exactly how that part would work. But nevertheless, 10 years. Take him into custody immediately. Take him into custody, sits in the county jail for 30 days. He comes back for final sentencing. Final sentencing is basically where you're pleading, you're throwing yourself at the mercy of the court. Your Honor, this young man is an extravagant young man. He made a mistake. The lawyer, once again, is going to speak on your behalf, and you get an opportunity to speak. The judge may feel compelled to give you probation, or the judge may feel compelled to send you on up the road. Send you on, behind them walls with them lions, tigers, goons, and birds. See, up here at Camp 8, we don't need no fence. Tell them about the gun line, boss. The gun line, yeah, penitentiary. Zach pleads his case. He's remorseful. He apologizes to the family. He's crying in court. He's doing everything that he can possibly do to get some compassion, if you will, some empathy from the court. Judge didn't go for it. I understand, young man, that things happen in life. I understand that, you're sorry. I understand. However, you got behind that wheel and you knew that you had been drinking. And as a result, this young man that was riding his motorcycle is no longer with us. So I can't bring myself to allow you to walk out of this courtroom today. Book him, Dano. Get him out of here. Zach's on his way to the pen. On his way to prison. A guy that's never done a day other than the 30 days that he did once he was taken into custody. After being found guilty of manslaughter, he had never done any time, ever. As I mentioned, he didn't come up getting in trouble. He's in the suburbs. Does a couple months in the county, send him off to the Rotary Farm. Rotary Farm's just where they process you, classify you, send you wherever else you're going to go. If you're not familiar with the Rotary Farm, check a couple of my older videos out, my prior videos out, and I'll thoroughly explain exactly what the Rotary Farm is. Once he gets classified, he's hoping to get sent to a camp. A camp is way more laid back than behind the fence. No. Manslaughter, you're going behind that wall. At least for a year. Then after that, if you don't have any write-ups, if you do everything that the Department of Corrections recommends, then your custody level will go down to a level 2 opposed to being a level 3, and you'll be camp eligible. He gets off the Grey Goose. The Grey Goose is just a prison bus. That's what they call it here in Kentucky, the Grey Goose. He gets off. He's at the penitentiary. Medium security penitentiary. To my knowledge, they don't even have max in Kentucky other than Eddyville. That's where Fleece Johnson was at, and that's the home of death row. Everything else, to my knowledge, is medium. But you got lifers. You got guys doing 80 and 90 years, 150 years, 200 years. 40 years, 85%. So I don't really see what the big difference is, to be honest. Get off at Grey Goose, everybody's looking. They posting up to see who's getting off. My dog, yeah, come with us, man. You know what I'm saying? That's just how it goes. But if don't nobody know you, then don't nobody know you. Kentucky's not heavily gang populated. Yeah, you have gangs. You got Crips, you got Bloods, you got GDs, you got Vice Lords. You have gangs, but it's not heavily populated in the penitentiary. It's more so of you have cities. And then within cities, you have sets. For instance, if you're from Louisville, Kentucky, Louisville's a large city. So you may have the east side of Louisville, the south side of Louisville, the west side of Louisville. But they're not all going to be one set. So, for instance, let's just say the west side of Louisville, right? Everybody from the west don't really rock with each other. You may have 6, 7 different sets that are all from the west side of Louisville. Same with Lexington, same with Bowling Green, and all, Henderson, and all the rest of Kentucky. Zach's in the penitentiary. He's lost. He's lost. At this point, he's 24 years old. 24, about to be 25. Very, very unfamiliar, unfriendly environment. Got dudes walking past you, mugging you, saying little stuff to you or whatever. You're scared to death. You're trying to act as though you're not scared, but it's written all over your face. You don't have to say a word. That's basically how it is. It's written all over Zach's face. First few days, first week or so, people going to peep you out. Not going to really say much to you. They're going to watch you. How often does he get on the phone? How often does he go to commissary? How often does he go to visit? People are watching these things. Who is he around? Who is he clicked up with? Zach goes to the temporary dorm. They put him in the temporary dorm for about a week or so. Now, when you're in the temporary dorm, you're just there. This particular place, it was an open bay, an open wing, like an army barracks. I remember they sent me to the temporary dorm, man, in 2013. I'm going to keep it real. It's Real Kens TV, so I have no choice but to keep it real. And when they sent me to the temporary dorm, they were temporary cells. Man, they put me in a cell with the transgender. Now, when they did that, most people was like, oh, no, man, you should have bucked. Man, ain't no way they're going to put me in a cell with a transgender. Man, listen, man, a lot of these people that tell you that, they're lying. They're lying. Not to say that they wanted to go into the cell with the transgender. You in prison, man. You don't call nothing. You don't run nothing in prison, man. You trying to go home. For the most part. Now, some people's in prison, they buck wild. It is what it is. Knuck if you buck. But in most cases, whoever they put in your cell is just going to be in your cell. Now, you have to go through the chains of command to get that person out of your cell or remove yourself from that cell. But nah, man, ain't coming in my cell. No, it ain't. Man, you don't own nothing. It's not your cell. And in addition, the transgender that I'm speaking of was at the Rotary Farm with me. So I had already knew that he wasn't on none of that. He wasn't bothering nobody. He wasn't coming on to nobody, nothing like that. I was at the Rotary Farm with him for almost the whole time that I was there. That was just a little backstory, And so he's in the temporary dorm, Zach. Frank B. Frank B, I grew up with Frank B. Frank B, man, he was a jokester. He was just a fun overall dude to be around, but everybody knew ultimately Frank B would probably end up going to prison. Stayed in and out of, getting arrested or almost getting arrested, juvie. Frank B was a white guy. He had long hair. Kind of skinny dude at this particular time, as far as coming up. He was, I don't know, if I had to guess, so I'm trying to help you all, I'm trying to paint a picture for you all so you can, visualize. I would say Frank B's, 5'11". I say he's about 5'11". Frank B had been locked up for like 15, 16 years at this point. He was just in the pen. I think he got accused of the R word, the ultimate R word. And he was adamant that he didn't do it. And he was not taking any sort of SO classes. SO classes. I don't know if I can say that here on YouTube. And so when you don't do that, you out to the wolves. See, if you in the SO program, they protect you. If you do anything to them, guess what? It's considered a hate crime and they can prosecute you. And you're kept separate from everyone else. You may be out on the yard with everybody else, but you're still in a group, kind of kept separate. And they really, really watch those guys. I don't understand, what the, what the rhyme and reasoning is for it. But hey, that's just what it is. Don't shoot the messenger, respectfully. He's peeping Zach. He wants Zach. He has to have Zach. I don't know if Frank B went to the administration. Like I said, he'd been there 15, 16 years. He knew a couple people. He had a spot open in his cell. His past cellie had just been shipped off, transferred or something like that. So he's in a cell all alone. Lo and behold, guess who comes in the cell? Zach. 24-year-old scared kid. Zachary. Frank B was a booty bandit. And the thing about it, administration, they knew he was a booty bandit. So why would you put an individual that's already afraid for his life in the cell with the booty bandit? But you say, Real Kens, hold on, Real Kens. Nah, man. Nah, I'm not letting you get away. I'm holding you accountable, Real Kens. You said, if you say something, if you on some BS, we can hold you accountable. If he's been convicted of manslaughter, if he got behind that wheel and he had been drinking, that young man that no longer is with us, he's not here. But yet, it seems as though you're being a little soft, if you will, on Zach. It's not that I'm being soft on Zach. I just understand that, unfortunately, things happen in life. Things happen. And that doesn't mean that you're supposed to be thrown in a cell with the booty bandit in prison. They could have put anybody else in there. Somebody who's more seasoned, that's been to prison, but you all put him in there. Now, Frank B wasn't the type of bandit that, come here, man, turn around. Bend over. Take that, take that, take that. Now, he wasn't that type. He was going to finesse you, like Fleece Johnson always talks about. Finessing you. Get you in debt. You know you got to pay with that debt. You know you got to pay for that debt. Oh, you can't pay it? Well, you can pay it. You can pay with something. You're going to pay, and you're going to pay with something. Well, Frank B didn't start off like that. You know, he was cool, cordial, casual, what have you. But being that Frank B was already seasoned, he knew that Zach wasn't on that. Zach wasn't with the fugazis, the foolishness, the foolery. You know, he wasn't with the funny bunny, the zestiness. And I say that respectfully. If you want to be zesty, if you are zesty, hey, get your zesty on. I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with soul. What he does is he hollers at a couple of his goons, a couple of his partners. Look, man, I need y'all to run up on this kid, bring that sword of justice, at Blade, at you know, the Blade that Dante from the Dante Network show, that sword of justice that he consistently speaks about. Bring that with you. Shout out to Dante from the Dante Show Network, man. I rocks with Dante. Pause. Don't do anything to him. You know, don't poke him up or anything like that. Just scare the daylights out of him. Give y'all $10 each commissary. $10 in a penitentiary, especially when you don't have nothing. And back then, 15, 16, 17 years ago, 18 years. Oh man, that's a nice $10. That's a box of banquet chicken. And you can get you a couple other items on the side of that. They do that. Zachary shook up. Man, what's wrong, man? Now, Frank B, he already knows what's, you know, what the case is. But he's acting as if he doesn't know. Zach tells him, hold on, man, hold on. Let me handle this, man. Let me handle this. I got you. I'm going to make sure them dudes never do anything like this again. Now, he's peeping the scenery. He's understanding that Zach's mother's sending him like $125, $150 a week. That's great living in the penitentiary. He stays on the phone talking to his mom. And she's visiting every single weekend. They 3 hours away. It don't matter. His mother's riding for him. Father would come just as well, but the mother, she's the true backbone. She's a soldier. She's a rider. She's riding for her son. So as time goes on, Frank B starts to kind of move in on Zach. He knows that Zach is going to be there every bit of a year before he's able to get his custody level down. So he starts to move in. Now, let me mention this. This video is for all my truck drivers, man. This video is for all the individuals that, you know, find yourself, like I said, at work, or you have an unexpected trip, or you just need something to listen to. It's going to be a little bit longer video. So y'all just rock with me. If you don't like the longer videos, you know, if you want a 12, 13, 15-minute video, absolutely nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But this is not the video for that. We riding. If you ride with me, get in the comments and say, Kens, we riding. 27-minute mark, 27:13, I believe. Kens, we riding with you. We got you. Respectfully. And hit that like button if y'all like the video so far. Thus far. Frank B, he's starting to make his movies, doing little things, saying little sexual things. He didn't, you know, smack Zachary on his buttocks a couple times. Zach's telling his mother these things on visit, you know, when she comes to visit. He can't explain these things in a letter because you can't really write and correspond back and forth. You can, but they monitor your mail. Hell, they just outright read your mail. Not monitor, they just outright, you know, read your mail. So he's telling his mother, not to mention that he's hearing these different things about Frank B. Mom, it's just a matter of time. I'm locked in a cell with him. It's just a matter of time before he tries to take me. I don't have any weapons. I don't have anything to really fight myself off. Now, at this particular time, Frank B, he didn't, you know, he's not big, but he's not little anymore. You know, he lift weights for about a year, then he stopped for a year, then lift weight. So he got some size on him. You know, little Zachary's probably 170 pounds. You know, he might be 5'9", 5'10", you know, short-haired, smooth face. He's a hot commodity in the penitentiary for the individuals that swing that way. For the individuals that swing that way, he's a hot commodity. Frank B got him right in the cell. Not to mention the politics of prison. Even if you go to administration, you say, listen, man, y'all got me in the cell. This dude's making sexual advances at me. No. Because now you're viewed as a rat. So even if you go to protective custody, you can be touched in protective custody. They send you to another prison, they gonna fly a kite. Yeah, man, dude, Zach, man, he's on the yard. Yeah, dude's a rat. He told on, Frank B or whatever. So it's like you can run, but you can't hide. So what do? It's not really in you to defend yourself like that. You don't have that type of heart. What Lonzo say in Training Day? I done said this before. I done quoted this. Takes a real man to kill Jake. They ain't like stepping on ants. So what are you to do? Imagine if this was your son. Imagine if this was your son in the penitentiary. He made an awful, horrific mistake. And he's in the cell with a known booty bandit. How do you help him? What do you tell your son? What would you all tell your son? Jump in the comments, man. Rock with me. It's the only way I'm going to get my channel out there and really, really blow up is the interaction with the audience and hitting the like button and commenting. Because when YouTube sees that, they say, oh, this guy has a whole lot of engagement. We push this video out to 20,000 people. Let's push it out to another 20,000. Let's push it out to another 80,000. Let's push it out to 150,000. And then, boom, you look up and you got that video that does 500,000. That engagement is very, very important. If you will. He's telling his mother all of these things. Well, son, I'm going to call up here and I'm going to speak to the captain or the ward. No, mom, no. Mom, no. No, please don't. That's only going to hurt me. That will hurt me. Please don't do that. So she thinks about it. As I mentioned earlier, she's very, very smart. She doesn't really move on impulse, but it's killing her inside. This is my son. I can't do anything for him. The son that I birthed, the son that I nurtured coming up, I was always his safety net. I was always there for him, but here it is now. I can't do anything for you. Or can I? Son, I'm going to think of something. You have my word. I'm not going to call up here and speak to nobody. I understand what you're saying. You just hang in there. You just do what you can do. If he attacks you, if he does anything, man, you fight like hell. You fight. You don't let him take nothing. You don't let him assault you in any sort of manner, sexually, physically. I know you're trying to come home. I understand you're trying to get your good time. I understand that, she talking like she done been to the joint. Like she done been in the joint. I'm going to think of something. I got you, son. Then he goes back to his cell, Now, it's to the point now that Frank B is, whenever Zach goes to commissary, he's spending $125 or whatever. Guess what? Frank B's getting half of that. Whenever Zach eats, Frank B's eating. I'm going to keep these goons off of you, though. See what I'm saying? I'm your protector. I'm going to keep all these warriors, all these other bandits off of you. But this is the price that you're going to pay. Otherwise, if you don't, you already seen what happened. You hadn't even been here very long. You see what could potentially happen to you. As I mentioned, Zach, he's terrified. He done jumped in a couple classes. He's doing everything that he can possibly do because he's trying to get out of this penitentiary as far as being behind the walls and go to a camp. Get to a camp. Everybody's 48 months or less going home, or at least having an opportunity to go home. And it's a lot more laid back. A lot less fights. Way, way, way less violence. Ain't nobody really cussing the guards out and stuff like that because everybody's trying to go home. Yeah, you do see stuff from time to time, but the overwhelming majority of the time is chill. The mother, she's thinking. How can I help my son? How can I possibly get my son out of this? What if he does something to my son? I don't know what I would do. It's really nothing you can do. She comes up with a master plan. Thinking of a master plan. She came up with a master plan. She goes to the prison website. You can go to any prison website and see exactly who's incarcerated, how much time they have, how long they've been locked up, their history, and so forth and so forth. It has their pictures and, things of that nature. She knows the politics of prison because she's done her research, and Zach has informed her. She visits every single week. Kind of the whites stick with the whites, the blacks stick with the blacks, the Mexicans stick with the Mexicans. Now in Kentucky prisons, it's not really segregated. A white guy can room with the black guy, but you have to sign up to, it has to be intentional. But it's not nearly as segregated. You see the whites sitting at the black table with the blacks and vice versa, Mexicans. It's not segregated like, say, California. I don't know how it is in New York, but I've heard other content creators, prison content creators, talk about how segregated it is in Virginia, Philly. So she does her research, and then listening to her son, everything that he's telling her, she's able to come up with this plan. She finds an individual on the site. Black dude, been locked up 12, 13 years. He's doing a 30-year bid. He's big. Reason she knows, because it says his height, his weight, everything. She reaches out to him. I have to be very, very discreet and very careful when I reach out, because again, anytime that you reach out to somebody, they're reading your mail. They literally read your mail. So when your girl sends you one of them freak letters, baby, as soon as you walk through the door, man, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. Oh man, some of them I've heard of CEOs that intentionally open the mail just to read the freak letters, and they in the mail room getting off on your girl's freak letters. Facts. That's a fact. She tells this individual, Rambo. I'm not going to call him by his real name, but his name is very similar. Rambo's very similar, rather, to his real name. This dude was a villain. This dude was a goon in the streets, man. They said this man then got shot 12 different times and was never unalived. Shot his car up, shot him, stabbed him up. He had 9 lives, evidently. Rob people, shoot people. He's a violent individual. He's doing 30 years at 85%. Been in and out of the system, mainly in, his entire life. She shoots him a letter. How you doing? I seen your picture on the prison website. I'm very, very interested in you. I don't know what it is. I just have a thing for men in prison. I'm out here, and the guys out here, they act one way in the very beginning, but then as time goes on, it's like they lose interest because the things that they once did, they didn't do. And I need somebody that can really just kind of, tell me how beautiful I am every day and ask me how my day was. And, I need to be able to speak. I need to be able to vent instead of hearing somebody, man, you always complaining. What now? What's the problem? I'm watching the game. I'm playing the game. I'm busy. Catch my drift? Just to show you that this is not a game or anything like that, how serious I am, she shoots him $200. $200. Turbo. Rambo, I was going to call him Turbo. Rambo, he's reading this and he's like, whoa. Now, here's the key factor. She tells Rambo, I'm a nurse. I work a whole lot. She knows the hours of the phones in the prison system, obviously. I can only speak on the phone from 12 o'clock, midnight, until, this time in the morning. Then I go to sleep and get ready for my next shift. I wish that I could just talk to you. I would tell you all the things that I would do to you, do for you. Again, she knows that, you catch what I'm saying? She knows that Rambo can't call during those times because the prison phones shut off at like 11 o'clock, 11:30. Sometimes 12 on the weekends. But she also knows that cell phones are just floating around everywhere in prison. They're everywhere. She don't know if he specifically has one, but she knows that they're everywhere. Now in prison, even if you don't have a phone, you got guys, it's all about money in prison. So say, for instance, I have a phone and somebody wants to use my phone. Yeah, man, give me $20. You can use the phone for an hour, 45 minutes or whatever. See what I'm saying? People rent the phones out. Same way they rent out freak books. Yeah, they rent freak books out. And when you bring that freak book back, it better not be a page missing, and my pages better not be sticking together, or it's gonna be big trouble. It's gonna be big trouble. That's how dudes are. I ain't really get into the freak books in prison, but hey, to each his own. She's laying the seed. She's planting the seed for Rambo to get on that cell phone and call her. And lo and behold, trick works. She's smart. He calls her, hey, how you doing? It's Rambo. It's what they call me, Rambo. She already knows because they've already corresponded a couple times. She cut straight to the chase. Listen, this is the only way that I was able to be able to speak to you outside of being on a prison phone. My son, he's 24. First time in trouble. They put him in a cell with a dude that he shouldn't be in a cell with. His name is Frank B. So, Rambo, yeah, he's just listening. He knows exactly who Frank B is. He's kind of disappointed, though, because he feels like, me playing with me? You playing with me right here? I don't want you to take this any sort of way. I don't have any romantic interest in you. You're a nice looking guy, and, but this is about my son. So this is what I want to talk business. I want to talk business. So what you got in mind, Miss Lady? I'll give you $5,000. I'm going to give you $5,000 to get Frank B off that yard. You're going to give me $5,000. I'm going to give you $5,000 to get Frank B off that yard. I'm going to trust that you're going to do the right thing. I'm going to kick you $2,500 now. Once he's gone, I'm going to kick you the other $2,500. In addition, I'm going to send you $200 a month while my son's still on the yard to look out for him, to make sure that this doesn't happen anymore, to kind of put your stamp on it. But if you can do it in a way to where you don't get in trouble, obviously, I'm sure you're a smart guy. You'll figure that out. And you'll forever be in my graces. You'll forever be, if you ever need anything, within reason or what have you, years down the line, you're blessed. They negotiate. So the 200 ends up turning into 300. You give a person an inch, they want a mile. So it's 300 a month to sort of look after this kid. Make sure nobody bothers him. They agree. 2,500 is sent. Plan's on. Mission's on. Rambo gets a couple of his partners, his goons together. Hey, listen, man. Dude, Frank B. Now, he understands that this could potentially create a war. Frank B got a clique, too. He got a car. He got a crew. But they also understand that Frank B's a booty bandit. Rambo's clique is deep. It's deeper. Been in the system, longer. He knows more people. Even though Rambo's been in the system, I say, well, not Rambo, but Frank B's been in the system just as long. But Rambo's older, and so he's been in and out of the system. He just has more, a longer track record in the Department of Corrections. Gets 5 of his goons. He tells them, look, man, I'll give y'all $100 a piece, man. $100 a piece. Y'all catch dude Frank B, get him off the yard, man. Bust him up so bad to where he's not gonna come back to the yard. But you got to do it in a way to where you're gonna protect yourself. So this is what we're gonna do. We know that he likes to go to he likes to play handball all the time. Well, you got to go downstairs in the gym to get the handballs. Pause. Double pause. Triple pause. To get the equipment to play handball. When he comes down there, y'all catch him. I want y'all beat him. Beat his body up, though. Don't beat his face, because blood's going to be on your hands. And, obviously wear gloves. And blood's going to be on your clothes and your boots. Nah, we can't have that. Just beat his body up bad. Sure enough, Frank B came down those stairs, because there's stairs, it's like in the basement. So you come down the stairs, you turn the corner, and there's a room that you go in to get the equipment. As soon as he turns the corner, one of the goons, he got a 10-pound dumbbell. Actually, I want to say it was probably like a 5, maybe a 7.5-pound dumbbell. Frank B has no clue what's going on. He ain't had no beef on the yard. He ain't never having no trouble. As soon as he turns that corner, blick up. Now on Batman, when you're bing, bang, bing, boom, bop, 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 blink up, smacks him in his mouth with the dumbbell. Teeth fly out his mouth. Ah, he's screaming, he's holding his mouth. They rush him. Boom, boom, boom. They pounding him. They hitting him in his head. They hitting him on the side, but they not really hitting him like square in the face. Because remember, Rambo said try to avoid it being a bloody situation. If it's a bloody situation, guess what? They'll be able to trace it back to you. Got blood on your uniform, traces of blood on your shoes or what have you. So that's how they do in the penitentiary. They get him to the ground, which didn't take much. They stomping him. I'm talking about, man, this is 5 nice-sized dudes, man. They stomping him, kicking him, but he's covered up like that. They already had this plan. Grab his legs. Grab his legs. Grab his legs. Pull his shoes off. He don't got on state boots. He got on tennis shoes. Pull his shoes off. Pull his socks off. Go over to that weight rack. Got 110-pound dumbbells. Got the 110-pound dumbbells. You got a dude's holding his feet. He's squirming, trying to get away, but it's 5 dudes. 4 dudes holding him. Then you got 1 dude that got the dumbbell. You know how in the movie Misery, I forget her name, but Paul, she captured Paul, or she rescued Paul, and she brought him and she was nurturing back to health. I believe she was like a nurse for real in real life. And then she realized that Paul was getting better. Paul, you'll be leaving soon. And I can't have you just leaving soon. Now I'm paraphrasing, not exactly what she said. And she grabs that sledgehammer in his legs, and she puts that at little 2x4 between his legs. No, please, I won't leave you. I promise I'm going to be here for you. I love you. Please don't. No, Paul. You're just saying that. You don't love me, Paul. And she grabs that sledgehammer and see, bam, and his ankle damn near falls off his foot. Now, it wasn't quite that gruesome. It wasn't quite that, horrific, but it was horrific. Imagine a 110-pound dumbbell being dropped on your toe. Oh, man, he's screaming in a blind spot. It's penitentiary, man. Lions, tigers, goons, bears, gorillas, wolves dressed in sheep clothing. It goes down in penitentiary. Y'all listening, young people? Y'all rock with me. Hit me in the comments and let me know, man. 110-pound dumbbell on your foot. How you think that feels? Once again, shout out to all the truck drivers, man. That's a very, very important job. Half the things that we have, half the things that we're able to get, if it wasn't for the truck drivers, man, we wouldn't have those things. And especially not in a timely manner. So once again, shout out to all of you all that's driving them trucks, man. Be safe on the road and get that money. They take his other shoe off. They do the same thing. Boom! Drop the dumbbell on his foot, on his toes. Franco's messed around. Not only is his body beat up, his teeth is missing. There is blood from his teeth being knocked out. His feet are messed around. They leave. People know who did it. But it's penitentiary, man. Penitentiary. You got inmates and you have convicts. Evidently it was convicts because nobody ever said who did it. They never could. They knew that the hit was sent from Rambo, but Rambo wasn't there. So how you all gonna say I had anything to do with it? Investigation ensues. Yard is locked down for 3 or 4 days. Zach's in the cell by himself. Frank B not only he didn't just go to the infirmary. They had to airlift him out of there. He had to go to the university hospital, man. Infirmary, 110-pound dumbbells dropped on your feet with no shoes on, no socks, and your teeth have been knocked out. Man, you messed around. And they tell him, hey, you better not come back to this yard, man, because next time we're going to take you all the way out. Not to mention when something horrific like that, violent happens like that, they're not going to put you back on the same yard anyway. Job is done. The other $2,500 is sent. She makes good on her promise. Rambo makes good on his promise. And Zachary never had a problem on that prison yard ever again until he left to end up going to a camp. tell you all this all the time. I stress this all the time. And I think some people, they believe it. But then you have individuals, come on, Kens, I don't know about that. Man, the penitentiary, there's no rules. There's no rules. It's dog eat dog. Literally, dog eat dog in the penitentiary. You're going to get tried in the penitentiary, man. In jail in general. Well, I'll just go and I'll just stick to myself and I'll mind my business. That's the best way to do, to go about doing your time. But it's always going to be somebody that tries you. And when they do, you got to stand up for yourself. Can't be no mouse, got to be a man. Even if you lose, people just want to see that you're going to, stand up for yourself and fight for yourself. You're just going to let somebody just come and take you. Then ain't nobody going to respect you. Sometimes a shot caller or a hitter, they'll be like, hey, man, go swing on dude. Don't stomp him out. We just want to see, if he can fight and if he ends up getting the best of you or whatever, we're going to break it up. We just want to see what type of individuals come into our yard, come into our cell, come into our dorm. So a dude may just come up to you and just steal you. Boom! Or swing on you. Man, you better go in. You better go in. Ain't no, bro, hold on, man. I don't want to fight. I'm just trying to do the right thing. I'm trying to go home, man. Nah, you got to go in, man. I'm going in, and I'm going to go hard. And you better go hard, man. Real hard. I know, but you all know what I meant. I don't even you know what I meant. When I think about that, man, when I think about that whole situation, that whole scenario, Zach's mom was a straight G. A middle-aged, I don't know what is middle-aged. She was in her 40s. White lady that was never in the streets. Has never had probably a speeding ticket in her life. And she got on some straight gangsterism, man. She used her mind. She didn't panic. She wasn't impulsive, although she wanted to be. She used her mind and got it done. From that point on, as I mentioned, nobody, messed with Zachary because they knew what was going to happen, man. This is Rambo's partner. He even hung with Rambo and them. You would see Zachary over in the clique. You know what I'm saying? It'd be a clique of them. Zach's over there. They got him lifting weights. They got him, like, he really kind of took to Zach. Never no funny stuff. Never tried nothing, sexual or anything of that magnitude. It was just, just was what it was. There's some good dudes in the penitentiary. I'm not saying that what he did was a good thing, but I'm not necessarily saying it was a bad thing. So I don't advocate violence, but I mean, when it comes to booty bandits, man, and you taking a man's, you taking a man's action. Now, if he wants to give it up to you, that's on him. But to just forcefully take it, nah, that's not right. So you get what you get. Some people are really, really about that action in prison, in penitentiary. Fleece Johnson said it's more important than water. A man's action is more important than water. That's what Fleece Johnson said. Now, I respectfully disagree, but hey, who am I to tell an individual that feels that way? Got people that prey on dudes, man. Young white dudes, innocent white dudes, man, is what they really prey on. You got a beard, you cutting all that off. Cut all that off, man. Smooth face. Want your hair long. I don't want you talking to no other dudes. I bet not catch you sitting at the table with no other dudes. If I do, you know what it's going to be. And that's how oftentimes in prison, these booty bandits operate. They operate off of the fear that they bestow, if you will, upon the individual that's afraid. Wish it was a better way. I wish it didn't have to go down that way. Now, I will tell you this. They have what's called PREA now. The Prison R-Word Elimination Act. PREA. P-R-E-A. So a lot of times it's easier to, I guess, get away from that sort of environment or activity because you just pick up the phone as though you're calling somebody on the phone, and there's a certain code that you type in, do 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 do, and then they prompt you, if you've been sexually assaulted, hit 3. If and then they'll end up coming to talk to you immediately, and that individual that's been doing what they're doing, they get them. But back then they didn't have PREA, they didn't have all of these things. Survival of the fittest. Prison's a lot safer now. It's not safe, but it's safer because they have a whole lot more cameras. They have PREA. But back in the day, the 70s and the 80s, no, I'm not old and I wasn't locked up then, but I've heard enough stories to know, hell, even the 90s, it went down. It definitely went down, man. So, shout out to Zachary. Shout out to Zachary's mom. She was a straight G. Straight gangster, man. Zachary's mom single-handedly got a booty bandit off the yard that had been on the yard 15, 16 years, man. And nobody had enough guts, enough gumpture, if you will, to do what she did. I respect that. Real Kens TV. Hopefully you liked the video. Feel free to comment. Definitely share. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And be sure to hit that post notification. Anytime I bring you this action and this heat, guess what? You're amongst the first to receive. As I mentioned, man, y'all make sure you all interact with me. Interact with me, man. Rock with me. I'm rocking with you all. So you rock with me, man. Shout out to everybody that supports the channel, man. Jason V, my dog. I hate doing this because Pat Watson. Wow, there's just so many different people, and it's like my mind goes blank because I'm thinking about all the individuals, Christopher, that have been rocking with me from day one. But even if you're not a day one, man, it don't matter. Let's grow together, man. We're going to get this thing big together. I'm not even going to say pause. I'm going to just go straight to triple pause. Real Kens TV.